So now we are going to work on a fitted dress shirt for our technical. And most of this is content that you already know, with just a few additions because we're going to be doing the back on this one. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be drawing the entire front of my drawing here. And then I'm going to be using one of our Pathfinder functions, which is called Unite, which is going to basically turn this into one outline shape. And then I'm going to use that for the back of my drawing. And I'm literally just going to, let me ungroup this object, throw some lines onto it to create the back of my shirt. Okay, because it's like when you've got all that time spent drawing the front and the shape is identical, then you can just copy the whole thing and then throw in a couple lines on it to do the back for your technicals, which is very handy. So I'm going to start a new document. This is all looking good. 8.5 by 11, create. Then I'm going to place my croquis, same as always. And I'm going to lock this layer and work on layer 2. Okay, so I've got black stroke, white fill, that's fine. I'm now going to go in and just draw out my shirt. Now, the only trick to a shirt is that center front is not the edge of the garment because center front is where your buttons are going to go. So the edge of the shirt will actually extend out a little bit, but I'm actually going to do that at the end of the, when I've drawn the full side of it, I'm then going to extend out a little bit, go up and then close it. So then when I flip it, I will actually have my center front where the buttons line up, which is how it would be on the shirt. So I'm going to click and curve as I go for this. Now, if you have a curve going to an angle, you can click on that point and it will convert it back to an angle for the next point, right? And then I'm going to make sure I have one point down in the armpit here, and that's going to take me to the edge. I'm going to give myself a bit of a curve for the hip line and take this down to about there. I'm going to head over to center front, but I'm not going to finish right below the top here like I normally would do. I'm actually going to extend out a little bit, and that is going to be able to accommodate the buttons, which are going to actually go down center front. So I'm going to click there, head back up, and you can see Illustrator gives me that pink line when I'm perfectly vertical, when I'm perfectly horizontal, all of a sudden the little pink line shows up. So I want to make sure I got, there we go. There's my pink line. I could also hold Shift on the keypad and it would constrain it. So I have to be either 45 or 90 for that. So I'm going to head up to about the neckline. I'm going to head back in and I get that nice little circle there that says I'm closing that shape. Now I want to go back in and tweak this a tiny little bit because see, I've got this kind of dip. I want to get rid of that. And I'm going to white arrow, play around with that little handlebar there. So I've got a lovely smooth curve going into that angle, which will be the front of my shirt. Okay, so Command 0, Control 0, always resets your drawing in the artboard. If you have gone in and got in real close with your magnifier, you can always Command Control 0 to take it up. So I'm going to now do my sleeve real quick. This we know so well now. Marquee, just that one point. Control C, Control F, Control J. So you're going to copy, paste that line in front, and I got that crazy point, which won't show up when I actually pull the sleeve out, but I want to show you how to get rid of that because it'll show up in your other drawings. It's really easy. You go to stroke and see where it says cap, corner, and align stroke. Just turn that into round cap, and that will round cap, round corner, and that will take off that crazy point if that shows up in your drawings. And again, that's under the stroke option on the top bar up here. Okay, I'm going to add 2 points, 1, 2, and then I'm going to do my white arrow and pull so I can get that nice sleeve. There we go. And I'm actually, I think, going to use this one so I can use the croquis underneath. And that's looking pretty good up at the shoulder. Now, for this shirt, if I go back and look at my original, I want like a shaped cuff going into the wrist cuff here. So I want that kind of blouse effect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to white arrow, move those points up a bit. I'm going to add 2 points, 1, 2, and then I'm going to extend my shirt out a little bit, and then I'm going to convert them using the convert tool. And again, if you get that little weird twisty, you can always just untwist to get a nice smooth curve into the cuff of your shirt like that. There we go. Then I'm just going to grab my pen tool and literally draw a real quick shape. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that gives me the shaping of the sleeve. You could go in and draw a little crease or a little fold if you wanted. Okay, the other things I need before I put my collar on, I'm just going to draw a couple lines to indicate the shoulder yoke, the front of that yoke there, because that would be, and then I'm hitting escape to disengage the pen. So that's literally just a line there. And I'm also going to turn off my fill, and I'm going to be doing a princess line seam all the way down, starting from the yoke, because it would be 2 pieces of fabric sewn together to get that nice shaping on the front of your shirt. And I'm going to basically follow the croquis for that. And for these, you want to have your stroke selected. But you do not want to fill, because if you end up clipping this later, like say you either fill it or clip it, and I'll just show you real quick what it's going to look like. Say you've got a fill on that line there, and I'll do a white fill. Now, say you want to make a red shirt, and you have this weird white thing here, and that is because I have left the fill on that line, and I do not want that. So I'm going to take that off like that. Okay, I think things are looking pretty good for my shirt. Yes, yes. Okay. And I'm going to now flip it. Actually, no, I'm going to do my collar first before I flip it. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to deselect everything. and draw on a collar. And a collar is literally just a shape. It is like that. It's a shape with a bit of a curve on the neckline. And that's all. And I'm going to draw that real quick here. I'm going to start at center front. I'm going to click down. I'm going to take it up to the shoulder. Collar stand, so it's got a little bit of height on it. And then for this one, I'm going to take it right down to that point there. And I have closed the shape, so that's looking pretty good. Now I can flip and join it. You can also add top stitching and detailing or anything like that if it is part of the style of the garment. Generally, there is a top stitch about 1/4 of an inch away from the edge of the collar where it's been, when you turn it inside out and press it, and then they give it a nice top stitch so it has a nice clean edge there. Okay, so I'm going to flip, copy. So I now have 2 sides of my beautiful shirt. Right, and women's wear is right side over left, men's wear is left over right. So for this one, I'm going to arrange send to back. Oops, no, I don't want to bring to front, arrange, send to back. And one more step here though, see how that it sent everything back? This section of the collar is above the overhang on the front of the shirt. So I'm going to just select that one shape, arrange, bring it to the front. Okay, looking pretty good. So I want to add some buttons. We had a button party recently, and I'll just grab a button from that same button that I made and I've used 8,000 times. I'm going to Control C, Control V it. How's that looking? I might make it a little smaller for this or not. We'll see. And Apple C, I'll probably do 8 buttons. Apple B, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I have about 8 buttons there, and I'm going to just figure out where I want to put the top button, which will be right up at the collar there. And then the bottom button will be somewhere around here. And then, so Illustrator is just telling you where I'm putting stuff, which is good. I could throw in guidelines here if I wanted to. I don't necessarily need to if I know where it's going to go. And then that one, maybe I will use a guideline so I can see. Control R, pull down a guideline, figure out where I want the bottom one to go, probably around there. Looking pretty good. Okay. And then I'm going to select everything. Oops, don't select the sleeve. And my align functions, I could either open up the align tool or I could head up to the top bar here, which has the align as well. And I'm going to distribute through the center. And then I'm going to line them up through the center. There we go. Look at that. Looking pretty good. I'm going to right-click group them once I know that they're perfect, and then Illustrator will always keep them as a grouped object as opposed to a bunch of random buttons. Okay, put those in place. Looking pretty good. Last thing I want to do for the front is I want to just fake out the back of my shirt, because this would have a collar that would be higher up on the neck here. And so what I'm going to do is just draw a shape, kind of a funny, almost diamondy shape, as you will see. And I'm going to go give a little bit of a nice curve to the back. And then I don't want my curve to continue, so I'm going to click on the point that's there and it'll convert it. And then I'm going to go down there like my diamond. And then close that shape. Then I'm going to give it a fill of some kind of a nice neutral gray to show that it's the back of the shirt. Arrange, send to back. And I'm gonna move it a little bit higher so I can, there we go. And I'm gonna have to do a little bit of shaping on my, so I'm a little higher over here. I could also add another point, I think, on the back, which is what I'm gonna do because I want to have a little bit more control with my, there we go, back of my neckline. Good. And then I'm gonna assume that this collar sews into the back of the shirt. So you're gonna need one more line. And I'm gonna turn my fill off for that and go approximately, it would be starting here. So I'll go maybe there to there to get the back of that shirt. Oops. And Illustrator has turned off my stroke, which I don't want. There we go. Escape. And that is the back of my shirt. Not loving one little bit here. Now, what's up with this? I think I may have to adjust those points because I've got this little, some kind of wonkiness. I'm gonna, what's up with that stroke? There we go. We need to once again get rid of that pointiness because it's affecting my drawing in a way I don't want. So I'm going to turn off stroke, turn on stroke, and get rid of those points. Yeah, good. Okay, and then I can adjust my points. There we go. So it has a nicer look. That's looking better. Okay, so where there is a front, clear my guides, I don't need them. There is going to be a back. And for this, I'm just going to move this guy. I'm going to first of all group it once I've got everything lovely in place. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. I want to do a one little button on the cuff before I move forward. I'll just grab that one. Control C. And where did my shirt go? There we go. Got too many documents open. There we go. Put that into here. And I'm going to put one button here at the cuff. And they're looking a little large for what we've got. I think I'm going to make them a little bit smaller. Okay. Always remember to hold shift when you're sizing things up or down. And better. Okay. Control C. Control V. And now we have our buttons on there. Okay, good. So I'm going to select my entire front. I'm going to group it so everything's in place. I'm going to Control C, Control V it so I have two. Now we'll see if this works. Sometimes if there's a whole lot of stuff happening, it doesn't do the outline nicely and you have to start taking things off, but we'll see. Oh, look at that. It worked. A little bit of wonkiness at the cuff, but I can fix that. Otherwise, that's looking pretty sweet. So then I have the back of my drawing. Just gonna go in and figure out what's going on with that. I'm assuming this is because I have that pointy stroke again. There we go. Okay. So drawing the back is super easy. It's literally just black stroke, no fill. And oops, I want to keep you. There we go. So I've got the shape filled, and I've got, for my pen tool, black stroke, no fill. I'm going to head over to the shirt, and I'm going to draw in a couple point to point to indicate where the fabric would be sewn to fabric. Armhole. I like to copy my original and move it over just so things are as perfect as possible. There we go. Across the back, you'd have one line showing your collar. Escape. And again, these all should have no fill on them because it would show when you start doing clipping later, which you definitely do not want. Not bad. And then I'm going to do one line across the back. That's looking a little high. I'm going to take that point down. Back yoke. You can hold shift so it's nice and horizontal. And then escape. For this one, I might add an extra point in here and move it up. Give it a little bit of a curve because you would have that slight curve of the yoke across the back. Okay. So what's up with my collar? Looking a little weird. This is when you want to go in and nice and close, white arrow, and play with those points so they fit perfectly on the drawing. Sometimes keypad can do it. Sometimes you have to do it by actually clicking on the point and dragging. Okay. Looking good. I'm going to draw in one more line here. And the last thing I'm going to do, I'm going to put in a princess line on the back for the shaping of the shirt the same way we did on the front. And so I'm going to take this back. I'm actually going to group this while I'm here because I've got so many little lines all over the place. I'm going to put that back on the croquis because it's the identical, right? Oh, see, look what happens when you don't group everything. I missed my collar. Arrange, send to back. There's my collar piece. I'm going to again mark key so the collar's included in this, and then I'm going to group everything. And that's looking good. I'm going to put this back on the croquis, and I'm going to find where those shaping lines are. And I'm going to turn off the stroke on everything. Not sure why it's not letting me do that. All right, I'm going to ungroup it. And then I'm going to just grab my outline shape and turn off there we go. So now I've got the back of the shirt. I can see where I want to throw in those lines. One will go from here to here. I think I'm going to click and curve. There we go. And down to the hemline. And I'm going to do a flipperoo of that so that everything is perfectly symmetrical. So the back of your shirt is literally just creating the outline using the unite function of the Pathfinder tool, and then throwing a whole bunch of little lines on it to create the back, and then go and select just the outline shape, which is that one, and fill it with white. Make sure none of the other lines have a fill on them, or you'll have that problem where if I have a fill on that, it will show up on whatever's underneath, which I do not want. Normally it would be white. There we go. Okay, Control-0. Once you've got everything how you like it, that should be grouped. That should be grouped. You can put back behind the front. So arrange, bring to front. Position them nicely. Oh, look at my little buttons didn't get included when I grouped it. Okay, let's try that again. I'm going to arrange, send you to back. Those are my buttons. Make sure you've got everything selected when you're doing your grouping. Otherwise, you will leave little bits behind like I just did. So I'm going to group that. Nice. And then I'm going to arrange, bring it to front. And lay one on top of the other. Make this a little bigger so it fills the page nicely. Oops. I should not have done that. I was holding shift. Why did you do that? There we go. When I'm making it bigger, hold shift. Good. That's better. All right. And you can even group front and back. And you will do this once you've got much more complicated drawings with many styles on it. You can have each front and back as its own grouped shape so that you can move them around the style board very easily. Okay, so I'm going to delete my croquis. And I'm going to grab my style information. Control-C and Control-F. Throw it onto my new drawing. And you now have your beautiful technical for the women's fitted dress shirt. There we go. I'll give it a new style number because you never have the same styles going season to season. There we go. That is our fitted shirt with extended front on the right and left-hand side to accommodate the center front, which is actually where the buttons go. Okay.